Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, could you make a video listing your favourite HeroQuest expansions? My response is always, it's tricky, because I think most of the products in the HeroQuest line have good and bad points, and certain aspects in which they excel. So the best expansion, or the expansion you should buy next, as HeroQuest expansions are designed to be played in any order, really depends on what you are looking for. New enemies, cool miniatures, a fun adventure, new heroes, or new game mechanisms. With so many expansions now available, I thought I would make a video, mainly aimed at anyone new to the game, running through each of the quest packs and discussing what they bring to the table. Do note, I have already made full reviews of each expansion, with separate videos analysing new heroes and deep dives into the quests, and I don't want to rehash all of that here. In other words, I am going to keep things brief, and if you spot something that appeals to you, you can check out my HeroQuest playlist for more information. We'll start with the classics. Kellar's Keep. Kellar's Keep is the direct sequel to the campaign from the original core box. This one probably doesn't get as much love as some of the others because it doesn't include any new enemy types or heroes. However, I wouldn't sleep on this one. It's one of my favourites along with Return of the Witchlord. Kellar's Keep has an excellent race against time quest in which the heroes are trying to reach the king, who has been defeated on the battlefield and has retreated to a defensible position in an old dwarven fortress. The quest contains some really fun set pieces, which show what kind of interesting things you can do while still working within the constraints of the core gameplay system. You get some new overlays to make your single width corridors look like staircases or the edge of a ravine, and a cool 4-part map handout for the players to collect and build during the included quest. There are 2 new doors, one iron and one wood. These are used to mark entry and exit points when the heroes aren't using the spiral stairs, but you can also use them to mark important rooms like boss locations if you want to give players a visual clue that there is something bad up ahead. Finally, you get 17 miniatures, repeats of the orcs, goblins and abominations from the core set. This is a great way to build your green horde and create situations where the heroes are seriously outnumbered. Get this expansion if you want loads more greenskins, you want to continue the story from the core set, or you want to play one of the most exciting quests in the game. Return of the Witchlord. Return of the Witchlord is very similar to Kellar's Keep. It completes the original trilogy, rounding out the story of the hero's battle with the Witchlord, who has done an Emperor Palpatine and come back from the dead again. It's another really solid quest, this time with a focus on undead enemies and the return of an old foe. The quest features some cool overlays, a throne room and perhaps more interestingly a rotating round room, and then you get an iron and a wooden door and 16 enemy miniatures, repeats of skeletons, mummies and zombies from the core set. Note that in the core set you only get 4 skeletons, 2 mummies and 2 zombies, but in this expansion you get twice the amount of each enemy type, so you can really fill out the ranks of your undead army. Get this expansion if you want to complete the original story trilogy, or you love undead and want more miniatures to paint. Prophecy of Telor. Prophecy of Telor is another really well written quest, which functions almost like a 4th installment in the original plot. It was written for the crowdfunding campaign that Avalon Hill used to relaunch the quest brand, and as such the quest was originally designed to make use of only the components that were in the core set. However, when it was eventually released as a box set at retail, it did get a glow up. This box set includes 6 custom combat dice in a nice translucent orange. There are 13 miniatures, also cast in translucent plastic. You get 2 skeletons, 2 zombies, 2 mummies, 2 orcs, 2 goblins, 1 abomination, 1 dread warrior and 1 gargoyle. While these enemies are all available in the core box, what makes the miniatures in this set interesting is they are the resculpts that were originally only available as part of the crowdfunding campaign, so this box gives you more of all your favourite baddies but in new designs. The miniatures are cast in translucent plastic for a specific quest related purpose, but as I have shown on my channel, the plastic does take paint as usual, so if you want the sculpts but don't care for the translucency, you can paint them as normal. Also, in this expansion you get a hero previously only available during the crowdfunding campaign, the Warlock. This hero is represented with 2 miniatures, one for her halfling form and one for her demonic form. The demon is just the alternative gargoyle again, but in red plastic. Get this expansion if you want to see an extension of the original plot, if you want some more variants of classic enemies, you like the fancy dice, or if you want the warlock hero. Spirit Queen's Torment. Like Prophecy of Telor, Spirit Queen's Torment was originally a quest book written for the crowdfunding campaign, which was subsequently released in a collector's box set. However, unlike Prophecy of Telor, I didn't care for it much. The quest features good orcs, and some of the interesting ideas weren't as developed as they could have been. You do get some more dice, this time in translucent ghostly coloured plastic, to match the 14 new enemy miniatures. Those miniatures are once again the alternative sculpts from the crowdfunding campaign, but this time you get 2 abominations instead of 1, and the gargoyle is replaced with an alternative dread sorcerer. You also get a new hero that was previously a crowdfunding reward, the Orc Bard.
If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
Get this expansion if you like good orcs and bad heroes, if you want even more variant versions of core set enemies, if you want even more dice, or if you want a quest that forces you to view established elements of the in-game world from a different perspective. The Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. The last of the smaller quest packs is Joe Manganiello's The Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. This was a special quest also written for the crowdfunding campaign and then subsequently released as a collector's pack. The quest itself was not to my liking. It felt very disjointed and had a lot of and then storytelling. The heroes went to a marsh, and then they found a crypt, and then they found an underground city, and so on. I was more interested in the other included components, although they are very Marmitey, and a good many people were not impressed at all. You get a dragon miniature. This is a fantastic piece that manages to seem imposing while still standing on a single space. And this was the first dragon ever created for HeroQuest, although the dragon from the First Light core set did make it to retail first. You also get a new set of cool black combat dice and 2 movement dice, a new pack of character sheets with a heavy metal comic book style, and a tile overlay with a tavern on one side and the dragon layer on the reverse. Finally, something I loved and many people didn't, you get a set of foiled art cards drawn by the comic book artist Max Dunbar. They are gorgeous, but I wouldn't use them in my games, they are just display pieces. Get this expansion if... got to say, while I like the material in this one, the main draw is the presentation rather than anything gameplay related, so it isn't easy to recommend. Get it if you love the art style, want a cool dragon boss, feel that all good adventures start in a tavern, or you are a completionist. Frozen Horror. With the last of the small quest packs out of the way, we get to the first of the larger quest packs. They are obviously more expensive, and while the quests themselves aren't necessarily longer, they come with a lot more components such as new enemy types and terrain. Frozen Horror is superb in terms of presentation, but it's slightly uneven in execution. It's one of the harder expansions with some really tough enemies, and sometimes fights become a bit of a slog. The adventure focuses on the barbarian, so you get a new female barbarian miniature and you get a selection of new items that are specifically designed to give the barbarian a boost. However, do be aware this is not a new hero. The female barbarian stats and abilities, or lack of abilities to be more exact, are the same as the barbarians from the core set. You do get 3 missions designed for a barbarian to tackle without the rest of the team, so you can play HeroQuest with just 1 hero player against Zargon. That's in addition to a full quest for a party of 4 heroes. What Frozen Horror does really well is transport your heroes to a new setting. You get loads of new room and corridor overlays to give the standard board an icy theme, and you get some cool, new monsters. 2 polar warbears, 2 yetis, 3 gremlins, and the massive Frozen Horror boss. There are also frozen versions of the iron and wooden doors, some icy themed combat and movement dice, and re-themed character sheets. Finally, you get a set of 12 mercenaries, with rules for how you can employ them to go on adventures with you. It's just loads of stuff. Get this expansion if you want a brand new environment to explore, new enemies, rules for mercenaries, a really challenging quest, or you want to give the barbarian a boost. Mage of the Mirror. What Frozen Horror did well, Mage of the Mirror arguably does even better. It's a quest pack that focuses on the elf, so you get a male version of the female elf from the core set, some elf-specific upgrades, a 3-part solo quest for an elf hero, and, something I cannot recommend enough, a set of elf spells, so you can take elf-specific magic instead of taking the elemental spells from the core set. The main mission involves travelling into the Elven realms to rescue a kidnapped princess. It's very challenging, and once again Avalon Hill made a real effort to make this feel like a different environment. However, rather than using tile overlays, they included plastic furniture. Versions of most of the furniture from the core set, but with an elven twist. There is no functional difference between the old and new furniture, but it's nice set dressing, and it also means you have a lot more options for homebrew missions. You also get elven versions of the iron and wooden doors, plus some portcullises, a card overlay for the throne room with a 3D component to create a backdrop for the final showdown, and some standees representing mirrors, which should really have been plastic too. It's another expansion that throws loads of new enemies at you. 4 ogres, 3 giant wolves, 8 elves in 4 designs, and the evil Mage of the Mirror herself. Note this expansion does say you can use mercenaries, but it doesn't include the miniatures. You would need one of the other expansions that have mercenaries to use those rules. Get this expansion if you love the elf hero and want those cool new spells, if you want even more plastic furniture, or if you want more varied enemies. Oh, and to seal the deal, this expansion features werewolves. Rise of the Dreadmoon. Rise of the Dreadmoon is supposed to be a direct sequel to Mage of the Mirror, but I never really felt it pulled that off all that well. Nevertheless, it's a fun quest pack that leans into role-playing, with heroes having the opportunity to wear disguises to bypass combat, and to gain influence to sway other characters to join the fight with them. In this quest, we are still in the Elvish realm, so we get loads more components to create that world. You get more plastic furniture, all the pieces missing from Mage of the Mirror, plus more elvish doors, 2 statues which you can use to make gargoyle ambushes a bit less obvious, and an arcane prison with a clear plastic insert. There is also a tile overlay depicting a courtyard, as sometimes the HeroQuest board is used to represent city streets instead of dungeons. It's nice to get out in the fresh air sometimes. The reverse of the tile is a secret hideout. In terms of new enemies, there are 4 more elves like the ones from Mage of the Mirror, plus 2 elven assassins, 2 Magus Guard, which are a kind of elvish mage knight, 4 dread cultists, 3 spectres, and a large dread wraith. Most of these enemies have new special rules, such as the spectres being able to pass through walls, and the Magus Guards and cultists having access to dread spells. Thankfully, the heroes also get access to some reinforcements to face these threats. There are 4 elvish mercenaries. These represent the cadre of the Raven's Veil, which are an important part of the plot in this quest, but in terms of rules, they are reskins of mercenaries from other expansions. You also get the Knight Hero. This hero was originally a retailer exclusive created in limited quantities to encourage purchases through local game stores. The version in this expansion is a new miniature with new art on the associated ability cards. It was done as a way of making the character available without ruining the exclusivity of the previous version. The Knight is a tank, with special abilities for shielding other members of the party, and for me at least, they are one of the best new heroes to date. Finally, this expansion introduces alchemy, whereby heroes can collect reagents and create potions with them. This is an excellent addition to the game system, and something you can port into other quests easily. Get this expansion if you want the cool Knight hero, alchemy cards and rules, even more furniture, and some challenging new enemies. Jungles of Delthrak. Jungles of Delthrak is packed with great ideas, but unfortunately its reach exceeded its grasp. It transports the heroes to a jungle setting, but doesn't offer a lot of components to create that environment. You get a few tile overlays and a few new terrain elements. 2 pools, a magical fire, a crystal, a statue, and a treasure hoard. Without a new board and with so few terrain elements, the expansion doesn't capture the feel of the new setting in the way that Frozen Horror and Mage of the Mirror did. That's a bit of a shame, because this expansion is a must-buy because it has superb new enemies, interesting new heroes, and a 16-part branching quest where your decisions will take you down different paths to one of several endings. The new enemies are varied, and some of them are huge. There are 2 skeleton archers and 2 goblin archers, which can be subbed in for regular skeletons and goblins in other campaigns. Perfect for Kellar's Keep and Return of the Witchlord. You also get 4 cultists, 2 raptors, 3 skullblights, which are shambling undead creatures that remind me of Swamp Thing, a goblin shaman, a massive blight crawler, that's a giant spider to you and me, and a giant gorilla. There are also enemies called spawnlings, which are represented by tokens. Battling these threats are 2 new heroes, the Berserker and the Treasure Hunter. The Berserker is like a more advanced version of the regular Barbarian. They have access to special skills, but they are not allowed to use ranged weapons. The Treasure Hunter is like an advanced version of the original Dwarf, not quite as robust, but with skills that let them spot traps and which benefit them when searching for treasure. There are also 2 animal companions. These can be used to fill out a party if there are less than 4 heroes. Get this expansion if you want 2 new heroes, animal allies, a host of new enemies, and an interesting new twist on the quest system that offers different endings based on decisions you make. Against the Ogre Horde. Against the Ogre Horde is a superb expansion with loads of material that you can use in other quests and homebrews. You get some overlays to help set the scene, plus some stone doors, 2 double wide portcullises that really work, and a huge stone throne. For enemies, you get 3 skeleton archers, 4 goblin archers, and 4 orc archers, all of which can be used to liven up quests that feature lots of core set foes. Then you also get 4 regular sized ogres and 3 massive ogre bosses. There is 1 new hero in this expansion, the Druid. The Druid was originally created for the crowdfunding campaign, but this is a reworked version with 2 new, I would say significantly better, miniatures. You also get a wolf miniature which you can use to represent the Druid when they shapeshift, or which you can use as an animal ally. Combined with Jungles of Delthrak, that gives you 3 animal allies, so you can now play as a solo Beastmaster with 3 companions. Also of note, this expansion introduces lots of new rules. There are multi-phase bosses, alternative rules for handling player death, and more importantly, a full but very simple skirmish combat game where you can build dream teams to fight to the death in the arena. Get this expansion for the Druid, loads of new enemies, cool miniatures, and the arena mode. Wizards of Morcar. And that brings us to Wizards of Morcar, which is probably my favourite expansion. It just has so much in it and really expands the wizard class from the core set. In fact, you get a new female wizard miniature, and she is accompanied by a full set of 12 mercenaries. These are alt-gender versions of the mercs from Frozen Horror, so although they have the same rules, they give you some excellent visual variety. For enemies, you get 2 mimics, one that looks like a chest and one that looks like a door, a minotaur, 2 stone golems, and the 5 evil wizards of Morcar, each of which is a powerful boss with a unique set of spells. There is also a miniature for Sir Ragnar, a recurring villain in the series who did appear in the core game and Rise of the Dreadmoon, but never had a dedicated miniature available at retail until now. The final plastic components are magical walls to represent various spell effects. Besides all the plastic, this expansion gives you 3 new sets of spells for the wizard to pick from, plus rules for a skill system that allows heroes to gain additional powers by visiting locations in a nearby settlement. Get this expansion if you love the wizard and want lots of cool new options, you want some interesting new enemies like the wizards and mimics, or you want a quest that brings the tale of Sir Ragnar to a close. First Light. And that's pretty much it for quest packs except for First Light. First Light is a core set, a way to get into the system at a cheaper price point. It effectively gives you the same experience as the main core set, but all the doors, plastic furniture and enemy miniatures are replaced with cardboard tokens and standees. That said, for an established player, First Light can still be seen as an expansion, as it features a brand new quest which runs concurrently with the one from the original core set. It has more dice and character sheets, alternative sculpts for the 4 main heroes, a new plastic dragon miniature, and a double-sided board with new artwork and a brand new cavern layout on the reverse. Get First Light if you really need more HeroQuest, if you want a new board layout for homebrew missions, or if you would like a compact core set that you can easily transport to conventions and game nights. And that brings us to the end of this sightseeing tour. Almost. At this point we have discussed every product that features new quests, but I couldn't sign off without mentioning the 2 hero packs, the Wandering Monk and the Rogue Heir of Ellithorn. They are both strong characters that are actually some of my favourites in the game outside of the original team. Unfortunately, the hero packs aren't easy to find, and neither of the characters have reappeared in a quest pack like the Knight did. Hopefully, they will be more readily available eventually, either through reprints or by incorporating them into another product. I hope so, because they are well worth picking up if you want even more heroes to add to your caravan of courage. But I am going to leave it there for now. I appreciate I have only looked at each expansion briefly, but hopefully it has helped to navigate this huge product range. And do remember, my HeroQuest playlist has much more detailed videos about every one of these expansions. Do please check those out, because that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.